Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about the Saturn square Jupiter transit, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with it. This is a transit that doesn't have a lot of explanation either, just like the Saturn in the 12th house transit video that I made. So I wanted to add a little bit of my input. Before I get into the transit, I'm going to talk about what Saturn is in astrology and what Jupiter is in astrology briefly. So, got my vape. Saturn is a planet of challenges, limitation, protection. It's a planet of wisdom and teaching, but it's teaching through challenge and obstacles. And it's also a planet that brings fated lessons to you. It's a planet that brings mastery, so you can evolve. Jupiter is also a teacher, just like Saturn, but Jupiter is more of like a softer teacher. It's more of like the fun teacher. You know what I'm saying? To where, Jupiter is also a planet of wisdom, but it's a planet that allows you opportunities to try new things and expand and, do it in a very fun and interesting way. And, it's also a planet of higher learning as well. And it's just simply a planet that guides you. It's just like a gentle spiritual guide that kind of leads you along the way. It doesn't put any obstacles in your way, and, it doesn't challenge you. Really, it'll challenge you to a certain degree, as far as like Jupiter is the planet that will challenge you to, in a sense that Jupiter will place big opportunities in front of you, and it'll challenge you to see, how fearless are you to take this risk? You know what I'm saying? So Jupiter does challenge you in a way, but not in the same way as Saturn. So with the Saturn square Jupiter transit, it's a time of test to your faith, and it's a time of test to your knowledge and understanding on your life thus far. So, you could find yourself really reflecting upon a lot of the things that you've learned, whether it's through childhood, whether it's through your friends or certain experiences that you've had personally. And Saturn will have you question these things like, do I believe in this? What's the deeper meaning behind it? Why? It'll have you ask these questions of why, and do I believe in this? And, why do I believe in whatever it is? The Saturn square Jupiter transit is also a test to your faith, because Jupiter is also your faith. Like, how much faith do you have in yourself? And it depends on where your Jupiter is. So if your Jupiter is in your 10th house, it's how much faith do you have in yourself to achieve your career and be successful. Or if it's in your 5th house, Saturn will challenge you. Well, Saturn will challenge your faith, and how much do you believe in yourself, to how much do you believe in your creative abilities and your artistic expression and your ability to really put yourself out there and share your light with the world. So, that is one aspect of this transit. And for me personally, I did find myself being tested a lot, and I was more so on the side of just asking a lot of questions of why. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do I believe in this? And how has that been working out for me? And do I still believe in this? And things like that. I just found myself in a very introspective space when it came to my faith and my perception on life and my belief system. This is a time of cutting back on certain belief systems, to where Saturn is a planet that brings awareness, and it'll really bring to your awareness certain belief systems that are just not working, and certain belief systems that you just really need to get rid of altogether. When you think about it, your belief systems really make up your reality, and it really really poses this question of like, how is your reality? Is your reality up to par to what you believe it should be, or what you would ideally like it to be? You know, because if not, then maybe you need to take a look at this belief system, and you need to change that. You need to cut that out, you know, because your belief system is really what is the whole basis of your reality. You know, this is just how your reality is created, through the way you perceive life, the way you approach life, your mental attitudes. What are your mental attitudes on life, you know? Specifically your life. With Saturn squares, it typically happens around the time of your nodal opposition, and it makes sense because your nodal opposition is a time where it's essentially starting a new cycle for you. So when Saturn squares your Jupiter, it's a time where it's trial and error on what belief systems and what pieces of knowledge that you've acquired thus far do you feel like it's necessary going forward. You know, so it's a time of really testing these things out to see, how is this going to work in your reality, and how is this going to help you in your future and build your future successfully. The Saturn square Jupiter transit really asks this question of like, what belief systems, what perceptions, what forms of knowledge have I acquired thus far? And are these things worth committing to in the future and in this new cycle that I'm going into? Because Saturn rules time, you know, and Saturn values time. So Saturn is trying to help you not waste your time, because if you're committing to certain belief systems and certain things that you've learned that aren't working for you and that haven't been working for you, and you choose to go into the new cycle with it, you're going to essentially be wasting time, because it's just like, you're going to just be relearning things all over again. Because the whole point is Saturn is having you restructure and change so you can move forward on a more solid foundation. Saturn square Jupiter transit is a time where you're limited from expansion and opportunities, to where it's like Saturn will only give you a certain amount of opportunities to kind of explore a little bit, and it's mainly opportunities to kind of further master the lessons of your Jupiter that Saturn is trying to teach you. It's not a time where, say, when Saturn leaves your Jupiter and stops squaring your Jupiter, you know, that's when you're presented with all these different options to try new things and, you know, go into different territory. It's not a time for that. It's a time of sticking with what you already know and kind of mastering it. Saturn square Jupiter transit is a time of slow progress. You know, it could feel like, honestly, the way I describe this transit and how it played out for me, it could feel like you're in traffic. So, you know, like when you're in traffic, it's like you go a little bit and then you stop, and then you go and then you stop. And it's just this frustrating experience, like, damn, like, can I just go? Can I just full speed ahead and just gas it? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's Jupiter. Jupiter is that full speed ahead energy of just big expansion, fast expansion. Saturn's not going to allow you to do that. It's that, okay, I'm going to allow you to go forward a little bit and then stop. Now we have to reassess. Now we have to kind of figure things out. Now we have to figure out what to cut out and what to build, and you know, now we got to figure out what we need, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's Saturn square Jupiter transit. It's a very frustrating transit, y'all. I'm not going to lie, because I'm 9th house dominant and I'm a Sag moon. So, you know, I operate off of that Jupiter frequency as it is. And Saturn squaring my Jupiter was a time where I just felt very slowed down. And it also does put a damper on your optimism as well. To where you're really just, it's gonna cause you to not be open to new experiences, new forms of knowledge, and learning new things. It's just kind of naturally gonna have things play out that way for you, to where you're not really open to new things as you would be if Saturn wasn't squaring your Jupiter. And actually, it makes sense that it plays out that way because, you know, Saturn is trying to have you focus and not have you get distracted, because Jupiter will have you distracted with all types of opportunities popping up to do this, to try that, to da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, Saturn wants you to focus, you know, and Saturn will have you just cut back on traveling, and whether it's traveling of the mind or through reading or through meditation, or it's actual physical travel. For me, how it played out was it was actual physical travel. And ironically, we're still in a time of travel restrictions anyways. And then also it did play out for me in the sense of like higher knowledge as well, to where it's like, you know, I'm really into spirituality and astrology, to where it's like I was unable to take more classes and further study and, you know, understand certain aspects of astrology that are more deeper and more complex, you know, to share with you guys. You know, it was about a time of really focusing in on what I already know and mastering it. Saturn square Jupiter will bring up this idea of like, you know, when they say like, oh, it's not your time to know this certain piece of information, it's just not time. You know, that's Saturn square Jupiter, to where, you know, you may be looking for solutions and you may be like, damn, like, why can I figure this out? Why can I understand this? Why can I find a solution to this problem? Because it's not time. That's why there's certain timing for you to understand things and learn certain things. And the reason being is because if you learn things too fast or too early, you may not know what to do with the information, or you may not know how to practically apply it properly, and you just may not be mature about it to where you could apply this information in a more sensible and productive way. Saturn square Jupiter transit helps you prepare for that. So when this transit is over, you could have a more sensible outlook on life, a more realistic outlook on life, and then it's like you'll be able to approach life in a very mature way, in a more sensible way, to where you're not wasting time. Like, Saturn won't allow you to move forward to the next levels of your life until the lessons that were given to you are already mastered. And once you master it, then you can move forward. Because what Saturn doesn't want, because Saturn does try to help people and they don't realize that. Saturn tries to help prevent you from relearning things unnecessarily and wasting time. So Saturn has you get it right the first time, pass the lesson the first time. So when you go into your new cycle, it's just a world full of new knowledge and new lessons and new experiences, instead of you wasting time doing stuff that you should have been understood already. Okay, so that is all for this video on Saturn square Jupiter transit. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Please like this video and subscribe. Please share this video. And if you guys would like to book a reading with me, you can find my Etsy shop in the description box. It's CosmicStarAstrology on Etsy. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.